people said, "The evening bell is sounding, the sun is setting," for a strange, wondrous tone was heard in the narrow streets of the large town, a tone like that of a church bell, though it sounded only for a moment before being drowned by carriage wheels and the voices of the crowd. Those who walked outside the town, where houses stood farther apart with gardens and small fields between them, could see the evening sky more clearly and hear the bell more distinctly, and people looked toward the forest and felt their minds solemnly attuned. After a long time had passed, people said to one another, "I wonder if there is a church out in the wood. The bell has such a wondrous sweet tone. Let us stroll thither and examine the matter more closely." When all the people returned home, they said that it had been very romantic and quite different from a picnic or a tea party. 3 persons asserted that they had penetrated to the end of the forest and said that they had always heard the wonderful sound of the bell, but that it had seemed to come from the town. One man wrote an entire poem about it and said that the bell sounded like the voice of a mother speaking to her dear, good child, and that no melody was sweeter than the tones of the bell. The king of the country also observed the phenomenon and declared that whoever could discover whence the sounds proceeded should receive the title of universal bell ringer, even if it were not truly a bell. At last, one man returned from the wood and explained, "The sound comes from a very large owl in a hollow tree," though he admitted that no one could say for certain whether the sound came from the owl's head or from the hollow tree itself. On the day of confirmation, after the clergyman had spoken movingly, the confirmed children went out of the town, and when the sound of the bell came toward them from the wood, they all felt a strong desire to go thither. One girl said that she must go home to try on a ball dress. Another boy said that he must return the borrowed coat and boots to the innkeeper's son. And a third boy said that he never went to strange places without his parents and intended to remain a good boy even after confirmation. When the others reached the willow tree where the confectioner stood, they said, "Now we are there. In reality, the bell does not exist. It is only a fancy people have taken into their heads." At that very moment, the bell sounded deep in the wood, so clear and solemn that several children resolved to go farther. As one child lay down to listen, he said, "That surely cannot be the bell. This must be examined." And he remained behind while the others continued. When they came to the little house of bark and branches, some said unanimously that this must be the bell people had heard, but one objected that the bell was too small and too fine to be heard from such a distance, and spoke with tones too weak to move the human heart. It was the king's son who said this, and the others replied that such people always wished to be wiser than everyone else. As he went on alone, the king's son said to himself, "I must and will find the bell, even if I am obliged to go to the end of the world." When he met the poor boy in wooden shoes, the king's son said kindly, "Then we can go together." But the poor boy replied that he feared he could not walk so fast, and believed the bell must be sought on the right-hand side, where beautiful things were usually found. The king's son answered calmly, "Then we shall not meet," and nodded as the poor boy went into the darkest part of the forest. When evening came, the king's son knelt down, sang his evening hymn, and said, "I cannot find what I seek. The sun is setting and night is coming, yet perhaps I may still see the round red sun once more." Climbing the rock, he beheld the sea and felt that all nature was a vast holy church, and when he stretched out his arms toward heaven, wood, and sea, the poor boy appeared beside him at the same moment. They ran toward one another and stood hand in hand while above them sounded the invisible holy bell, and blessed spirits lifted their voices in a rejoicing hallelujah.